Hello, I had a client request. Hey, Jean, an SI joint relief mini workout. So these are some exercises I've done with clients over the years to help relieve pain in the SI joint, which tends to feel like a catching or kind of a locking feeling right back here up in the upper upper hip, lower back. Really, it's part of your pelvis. So what we're trying to do is stabilize that area while stretching and opening the hips some. And that's really the purpose of this, while also trying to work on the lower core pelvic floor combination of strengthening the deep stabilizers of the spine and pelvis as well. So we're going to begin by stretching the hips in a seated position. We're going to cross the leg over and hug that leg tight to your body. Make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. The goal is to kind of sit way up on those sit bones. And by getting that spine to stack, we're allowing the pelvis to sit more neutral. We're really trying to get at this glute max here. So really stable place for the SI joint to be able to feel support while getting into the glute muscle. Same thing, other side. So again, hip pulled in as tight as you can tolerate. Sometimes for some people, they get a little pinching in front. Feel free to adjust the leg, open a little bit wider if that's the case. Just do your best to, again, pull those shoulder blades back and down and allow that hip to be tugged in tight to feel a stretch. From there, we're going to go on to hands and knees, and we're going to do just a gentle side to side press of the hips. So my knees are a little bit close together compared to hip width apart. So they're not touching, but pretty close. And I'm just going to lean my body left and lean my body right. So now we're getting up a little bit higher in those glutes to open up and stretch. If you want to kind of lean back with this a little bit towards your heels, you can try that. And with anything, you always want to kind of check in with the body and make sure that if anything's bothering you more, or if you're starting to feel pain or discomfort increase, I would subside, discontinue, or try something else. All right, next exercise, we're going to be getting more into the front of the hip. So we're going to put one foot forward. I'm in a half kneeling position. Grab a pillow if you need it. My back foot can either be flat, or you'll get a little bit more out of this if you tuck the back toe under. I'm going to press my hands into this thigh. So I'm pressing down strong into the top of this leg. While I'm doing that, I'm going to engage my pelvic floor, my lower core. So what I mean by that is I'm just drawing in, and I'm going to pelvic tilt. So I like to tell people you should feel like you're hugging your muscles to your spine, or hugging the organs in, kind of giving your whole body a hug here. Tightening those glutes, tightening the core. We're going to press down with the hands gently into the thigh. So as we press down, we get a little bit more of an anchor to be able to really tuck here, brace the core, and feel this stretch. And you should be feeling a nice, good stretch down this front of the thigh of the downside leg. And so we're holding these for maybe 20 to 30 seconds, not anything too super long. Switching to the other thing before we start, we're going to check in with where do I want my foot? I'm going to tuck here, engage the glute, engage the low core, pulling that pelvic floor, and press down. What else to do is just a couple of good exhales here, really checking in with how can I get a little bit more out of this stretch. So notice I'm not asking you to really press into this. I just want you to stay nice and tall over the knee and keep tucking. Tummy strong. All right, from here, we're just gonna sit back down again. One leg's gonna tuck into the side, and we're just gonna do a gentle side bend stretch. So you wanna kind of ease into this, make sure you're not forcing that hamstring anywhere it doesn't want to be, and then come up. So I kind of like to go maybe 5 to 10 seconds each time, reaching just maybe slightly lower into the stretch. And on this last one, we're gonna add a big side bend stretch. So we're gonna lengthen this arm as far up overhead as we can, thinking about a long line from this hip through the side body and shoulder, lengthening through the elbow. And we're trying to turn this top shoulder back with the purpose of lengthening out that lower spine, quadratus lumborum, all the muscles that attach down into that upper pelvis to provide some lengthening there. All right, so from here, we're going to go straight to the other side. Same thing, just a gentle reach, kind of letting the body feel out where it can go today, not overdoing things too fast. And one more time, reaching down. This time we're going to hold, pressing into this lower leg. We're going to turn this arm. And again, we're trying to draw that core in, no extra arching of the low back, just a direct side bend, lengthening through the side body, trying to create space from, again, this hip all the way through the shoulder and into the arm. Awesome. All right, from here, we're going to just do some cat cows. I'm sure you're familiar with these from potentially breathing exercises you might have been in or yoga classes. The goal here is to incorporate the core as we do the movement of the spine. So I like to tuck toes under here just to get a more bracing. If that doesn't feel good on the knees, relax the legs. We're going to start by gazing forward and taking a breath in through the nose. So we're going to inhale, gaze forward, shoulder blades pull back. As we exhale, we're going to tuck chin to chest, draw the belly in as we squeeze the pelvic floor. Inhale, gaze forward, gentle arch at the back. We need to over in here or over activate. Exhale, chin to chest, pelvic floor is strong. Exhaling, we pull the tummy into the back and wrap the ribs in. Inhale, gaze forward, shoulder blades together, tailbone lifts. Lungs open, and then as we exhale, chin to chest, wrap the ribs back, pelvic floor is on. Everything's trying to compress into the middle of the body as we let all the air out. Nice. All right, from there, we are going to do seated exercise. So it's tempting to want to go right into kind of more hip stretching, but we're going to start stabilizing here. So seated on the floor, and you could do this in a chair if you wanted to as well. But I like it on the floor just because we're going to incorporate the core a little bit more as we lean into it slightly. So holding onto the knees, you can kind of find out where you want to be as we rock back. So when I say rock, I don't mean lean back where the body's straight. I want you to literally rock back so that we've created that C curve of the spine. So I'm kind of taking out that lumbar lordosis, taking out the arch of the back, and drawing in my tummy muscles. And you should already automatically, just as you draw in that way, feel your core engage. So you can kind of check that as you push your fingers towards these outer abdominal muscles. You want to feel like you're trying to, again, wrap the tummy in, hug the body tight. And I'm not trying to get as round as I can in my upper back here. It's really just about pulling that pelvis underneath you. From here, arms are long because I'm going to push out into my hands. We're holding here for about 7 seconds, 7 to 10, somewhere in there. And then from there, you can come forward a little bit, but we're going to try to put 2 fists together just like this. And we're going to squeeze onto those fists. Again, same thing, holding here 7 to 10 seconds. And then again, we're going to press out. So we rock the pelvis back, pull that lower core in, press out. Exhaling just to re-engage some of that lower deep core. And then same thing here, we're going to sit up just a little bit higher and squeeze those knees together. Awesome. And now we're going to come right down to the floor and do a little bit more of that adduction from here. So if you want a pillow for your head, go ahead and grab one. That helps you feel a little bit better. From here, just laying supine, we're going to get the feet about hip width apart, and then we're just bringing the knees together. So I'm squeezing my knees as tight as possible. While you're here, the glutes are relaxed. We're just trying to engage those groin muscles. Holding for about 10 seconds again. And relax. We're going to do that 2 more times. So you could do these more, but I don't always think more is better. Sometimes it's just good to remind your body how to activate well without pain. And that's what we're going for in today's workout. Just that gentle, nice, good, strong sense of squeeze in the inner thigh. And relax. And one more time, tighten the knees together, bracing the core slightly. Glutes are relaxed. All right, so now we're going to add an element. We're going to add a little bit more of those glutes. So we're going to keep squeezing the knees together, and we're going to do a gentle pelvic tilt. So you'll not only feel inner thigh, you're also going to feel the hamstrings and just a little bit of glute here, and relax down. Same thing again, we're going to bring those knees together, tuck the pelvis under, and a gentle lift, barely lifting, like I can almost get my fingers under my butt, and that's about it. And back down. We're going to do that one more time. We squeeze in, tuck the pelvis, barely lift off the floor. Again, trying to just recruit a little bit of that hamstring here. And relax down. Awesome. All right, so just checking in. We're going to see how we feel here. And we're going to move on to some core work. So coming up with the legs, one thing to really start being aware of as you're doing any kind of exercise is what's going on with those deep stabilizers of the core. So when we talk about that, we're talking about the transverse abdominis, and you can kind of check in with whether you're feeling yourself turn that on or not by doing a simple test. You can put a cup or a book or even your hand here. If I try to just smash my back into the floor, you're going to feel your tummy pop up. right? You just notice my hand pop up off the ground. If I'm engaging it well and I'm bracing the core, I'm going to exhale. I'm going to draw my tummy to hold the muscles tight. So you're not going to see a lot of motion here. So I'll breathe in, I'll exhale. And now I just tighten my core so that I can move my legs around and my core doesn't actually change and my spine doesn't change. Neither does my pelvis. Everything's being held stable because I've drawn in and braced my core. If I smash down, I can do that same thing, but I'm going to be using a lot more on my obliques and not truly that deep unit. So we want to make sure we've actually exhaled, we've allowed ourselves, we don't hold the neck, so of course we have to breathe. But that's one way we can kind of attach kind of a neurological connection better and a real sense of awareness to whether we've contracted that transverse. And you can use a finger just inside the bone that's at the top of the pelvis here, just inside of that. If you've drawn in, you're going to feel almost like it's like a trampoline, right? It's got some bounce to it, but it's a little bit more taut. That's what we're going for right there. So we're going to do that right now. You can hold here, or you can challenge that by taking 1 foot at a time down to the floor. If that's too much for you, if you're like, ooh, that's already kind of getting me in the back, just try a single leg with one on the floor, or you maybe extend out and in. So this would be kind of level 1, where we have 1 foot on the ground and one leg going out. And you can even reach higher if that low position is too much. Exhaling every time that leg goes out. A level up would be just a tap to the floor with a short arm lever with the leg. And then if we're going to get a little bit more kind of magical with this exercise where we're taking it up an ante, we're going to go feet off the ground and really extend those legs out. And of course, you can then go to a single leg lower. But again, we want all of this done to strengthen the core, not to strain or stress that SI joint. So I always want you to check in and just say, okay, can I still feel this really working through here and not transferring to that lower spine? All right. One of the ways we can kind of contract that without changing the legs at all, and this may feel like a good alternative to you, is to just apply some pressure onto the leg. And we're going to start here because we're going to do the opposite motion in just a second. So with one knee up, we're going to press the hand onto the thigh. We're going to, again, brace through that core. So we think pelvic floor first. We draw in the tummy, and we're going to apply pressure from the knee into the hand. My arm is just outstretched here. And I'm just working at like maybe 20% effort to hold that in. And that resistance is going to provide you with some strengthening in the tummy here, just an isometric. Same thing, other side, brace the core, push the knee into the hand. And this is going to bring in some of those obliques. And what I like about this exercise is I'm recruiting a little bit more on this right side than the left. And of course, we have 2 SI joints, so it's nice to recruit the core on opposite sides as well. All right, so from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take the hands and clasp them. You're going to bring them around a knee. This other leg's just laying on the floor flat, and it's not really doing much here. It's just out of the way. So what we want to do now is we're going to push the knee into the hand. So I've applied pressure into my locked fingers. My shoulders are just kind of hovering back here over the floor, and then relax. So same thing again. We're kind of holding our same pressure for about 5 to 10 seconds. I love to hit kind of that 7-second mark if I can do it. And relax. And we're going to do that one more time. Same thing. We want to kind of have that sense of drawing in the tummy just gently. Nothing extravagant, just enough to brace as you press out. All right, switching sides. Grabbing onto the end of that knee, we brace the core, press out. So looking for, this one's maybe a little bit more. We're saying maybe like 50% effort of what you feel like you could do to kind of separate your hands if you had to with that pressure from your knee. And again, pressing out, exhaling, drawing the core in, and relax. And one more time, we're pushing to that knee. Excellent. Uh-oh, the gremlins are wanting to come in. From here, we're going to go onto the side. And we're going to be doing a bit of a clam exercise here. So we're going to be taking the knees forward, and we're going to try to come into a side plank. No, sorry, not a side plank. The legs are on the side. The leg is straight. I'll get right back with you. I just settled my brain again. So I recommend a pillow under the hands. I'm just going to use my hands for right now. I'm trying to make a straight line here between my ankle, my hip, and my shoulder. Okay, so I'm going to flex my foot. My leg is completely straight. I'm trying to squeeze my glute. And all I want you to think here is holding this leg in a super strong and stable position. So I'm imagining that I'm drawing this hip towards my armpit. I'm kind of pulling it in. That's going to feel like a little bit of a contraction here. We're going to feel this glute really tight and the leg is out super strong. So this one we're holding more like 30 seconds. And then we're going to bring it in and go right to the other side. So from here, we've got bottom knee slightly bent, body a straight line from shoulder, hip, and ankle. Flex the foot, reach it slightly behind you. We're still holding in the core and squeezing this top glute. You can keep your hand on the floor or put it up on your waist. Remember when I think you're trying to pull this hip towards your shoulder, you're going to notice your upper core really contract on that as you're holding your glute. It's a great thing to feel this kind of co-contraction of the core and the glutes working together. And we're going to finish off the day today with a standing exercise and one more kind of like active stretch. All right, so last one here. We're going to come up and we're going to just do a single leg standing position. So from here, we're going to be on one foot. We're going to imagine ourselves kind of, again, drawing in that core. So I'm not asking you to like stand like this, right? We want to have the lower back in so much of a flat position, but just enough to feel like we have a position where we can draw those ribs in, pull the lower core strong, keeping this knee fairly straight. It doesn't have to be locked, but pretty darn straight. We're just going to lift this other leg up to as close to 90 degrees as we can. We're stabilizing from this glute. If you feel like you don't want to hold it there for very long, that's okay. Just up, down is fine. Don't let your pelvis dip or shift. The pelvis has to stay still. If anything, I want this hip to come a little bit higher than this one, because that means we're working this good old glute med over here that stabilizes that SI joint. Or we can just hold. And again, I want to make sure this bottom knee is real, or this thigh is strong, the glute is strong, and the knee is, again, it can be not necessarily locked, but pretty darn straight. So we've got that good pressure into the whole foot that we're standing on. Let's go right to the other side. So again, we draw in that core, stack ribs over pelvis. We're gonna get really strong in our standing glute and leg. We lift and we lower. So we're just gonna kind of warm up to it again. And remember I said pelvis level, if anything, slightly higher on this lifting side. That foot nicely gripping the floor. If you need to hang on to something for some balance, that is fine. But if you've practiced this enough and feel like you can do it without it, definitely want you to try, because that proprioception with holding this position is really key. So again, we'll think about everything pulling up out of the floor. Strong, strong, strong. And down. All right, so you can put a chair behind you for this one and kind of sit to the chair. We're just gonna forward fold here, okay? So for some of you, this might feel like a little bit, like, I don't know about that, as it can sometimes feel like it's catchy when you go to stand up. But what I want to challenge you to do here is actually kind of work into an active squat. So we're just grabbing anywhere you can on the shins or the ankles, and we're trying to push the butt back and open the knees, okay? So we're approximating into just this nice, good low position with the hips, actively working the thighs, coming back to kind of actively engage the glutes as well as we sit down. But definitely feeling those inner thighs open as we're here. Last one, and we're just gonna allow ourselves to do a little bit more of a hang here now. We're gonna walk the hands over to one side. So again, we're getting a little bit deeper hamstrings and low back. And we're gonna finish with going to the other side. Same thing over here. And then we're gonna walk the hands, so bend your knees, walk the hands up the thighs. And you're done. So I hope that's helpful. Please let me know. Thanks.